Greetings, I'm Daniel Barone.
Dan Barone and Anton Downs.
Here for Unscripted, Uncensored again, part 3.
Oh, absolutely. Man, it's been crazy, right? The last couple of weeks, all the different things going on in education and just legislation as far as funding for schools and other bills that seem to be an attack on the citizens in Texas, for that matter, voting rights and everything. I think the last time we talked, our conversation ended, we were talking about how Alief administrators tend to do things that don't necessarily benefit the children and make the data look as if they're an exemplary district.
Right.
District of innovation.
Right, and I specifically quoted in 2012 when Superintendent H.D. Chambers came into the Alief Leadership Network committee meeting. It was myself, a whole bunch of other Alief leaders, but prominently Tiffany Thomas, who was an immediate past school board member, and Natasha Butler, who is now a current school board member, was in the room when Superintendent Chambers, I think that was his inaugural year of being in Alief, and he said that, because he got hired in 2011, he stated that he and his administration had the ability to make data say whatever they wanted to say, and that's something that's stuck with me now for, seven years, and he's been true to it. What that looks like in the everyday world is, let's call it lying, cheating, and falsifying information is what they call that in the regular world. So if my son or daughter came home from school and they had the ability to make data say whatever they wanted to say on their report card, that means they would have an F on their report card, but they would have the ability to present it to me as an A. Right? If I was at work and I was trying to make data say whatever I wanted it to say, I could show that my effort or my output at work was minimal, but presented to my boss as though it was maximum to gain a pay increase or get a promotion.
Recognition.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what that looks like in the real world, in the regular world, outside of education. I don't know why. For some reason, individuals seem to think that education is not a smaller microcosm of the real world, and because you're not in education or because you're not an educator, you don't know what we do and you can't understand when the shim-sham is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't really have a place to question our abilities or our actions.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I always use when I talk to parents and community members about showing up for the school board meetings, for joining those councils and those committees. That's very important. If you have those types of committees, I think we have like the EIC, the Education Improvement Council. We have the FAME committee.
They have all kind of committees. I mean, they can make a committee. They could have a wash the roof committee. So there's a whole bunch of different committees that they could actually have or put together.
Well, and what I would tell anyone is that every school, every location has its own
initiatives. Right.
And they have to get parents involved. It's mandated.
It's mandated by the government, by the federal government, by TEA.
That you and the state of Texas, that you have to have a certain level of family engagement. That's why, realistically, when you go to your child's school, they have you signing in. If you go to
parent night, when you go to library night, that's why they require you to sign in.
Sign in, because they get credit for that. They get funding, additional money for you for showing having a certain amount of hours family being engaged.
When you drop off that lunch money, they make you sign in.
You sign in.
Yeah.
If you there just to pick up your kid to take him to a doctor's appointment, sign in right here, okay, and then when you come back, sign in
right.
again. And so what people don't understand is that they're using you and your willingness to show up for your child as an opportunity to gain additional funding. A lot of people would say that, that's not a bad thing to get additional funding for our children, but here's the deal. What happens to that money once it gets to the district?
Exactly.
That's the big deal. Like we could say all day long, there's a bill right now where they're talking about pushing $9 billion towards education in Texas, and a large percent of that will go towards low-income disadvantaged districts.
Right.
But
yeah,
and everybody wants to celebrate. Hey, there's about to be all this money pushed toward education, and I'm like, that's fine. And then the state of Texas has realized that they need to push more money towards education. Now, once the district receives that money, will they do the same thing?
That's where the issue lies. Because nobody has the ability to follow the money trail, if you will. After it leaves the federal government and gets to the district, then it becomes a magic or puppet show, if you will.
Absolutely, and it's funny to say that because I was watching a stream of Houston City Council, and that was what one of the city councilmen said, that we can approve all this funding for these departments. Mm-hmm. But the problem is there's no accountability after the money's been pushed to those departments.
Right.
We don't even think we have a city manager for the city of Houston, which typically most city governments have a city manager, someone that kind of oversees all those departments to ensure transparency and responsible spending. Mm-hmm. And so at the school district level, you have all these people. That's what you have. For Alief, you have the superintendent, mm-hmm. you have 2 deputy superintendents, you have one that's over the business side of it, which is Charles Woods, and then you have the one that's over the education, curriculum instruction, which is Avery Montgomery.
Right.
And then you got all these people.
Then you have Deanna Williams, who's the CFO, right? All these little buffers to kind of and they keep them in silos. And what I mean by that is one hand, they allege that they kind of don't know what the other hand is doing. They claim that. So when things go awry and you try to check them and ask them, well, that's not my forte.
You know what that's called? Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate, and the realization is that our children are negatively being impacted by this. Their children will be negatively impacted because if you look at the demographics of our district as a whole, most of those parents are not college-educated parents.
Well, here's the thing to that. Remember we talked about how 95% of teachers and administrators in the district don't live in the district?
Yes.
Now, what happens when a child is not educated, right? Or they're not productive in school? They may turn to illicit activity, right?
Yes.
In the community that they live in, right? So crime rates go up, right? Economics go down. It doesn't affect them. So when our children aren't being educated and the crime rate goes up, next thing you know, I got Johnny or Sally from the high school or middle school climbing through my window in the middle of the afternoon. But guess what? In their community, they don't have to worry about that because Sally or Johnny can't get all the way to Pearland or even willing to ride all the way out to Katy. So it doesn't immediately affect them. But if the lack of education in our community started affecting their community, things would get turned around. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And we speak to the same conversation I had last night with one of the directors for our district, was the fact that without our employees at a high level being residents of our district, mm-hmm. they're not true stakeholders.
Right.
They're not investing in our community, because think about this. Majority of our staff don't live in District F, they don't live in A. Mm-hmm. So when they get their paychecks, that money goes
to their community.
Right. So
say it properly. Our tax money goes to their community. So let's be clear. It's not just their paycheck. It's our tax money goes to their community. And just for a point of clarification, let's talk about the hierarchy, because if you don't understand the structure of the hierarchy, then some of this kind of gets convoluted. At work, we have your president, your vice president, etc. In the school district, a lot of people, they kind of construe this information, but at the top of the pecking order in the school district is the community, the taxpayers and the parents.
Yes.
Under that is the school board. Mm-hmm. Under the school board is the superintendent. Under the superintendent is all the administrators. So let's get that clear. Let me say that again. At the top of the pecking order, the apex of the district is the community, the taxpayers, the parents, the residents, the community.
Absolutely.
Then comes the school board, who is accountable for governance, which means that they regulate that the district is doing the things that they're supposed to do according to the laws, policies, procedures, mission statement.
Their employee, the superintendent.
Through their employee, the superintendent. So if you're not happy with what's going on in the district, in essence, it's the superintendent's fault because he is responsible for day-to-day operations.
He's the captain of the ship.
He's the captain of the ship. Therefore, the school board holds him accountable. So when things are going wrong, such as the 6 IR schools and 2 approaching IR, that's his neck on the line, right? And speaking to that point, I noticed last night and also during the last workshop is that normally at the school board meeting, HD Chambers likes to be the center of the conversation. He likes to steer the ship as far as conversation goes. Always dying at the bits to get on the microphone and say his little 2 pieces or rebuttal or promote something.
Yes.
But every time his school district talks about those IR schools, he doesn't touch that microphone. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have an initiative. He doesn't have a rebuttal. He ain't trying to jump out in the forefront and push everything, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed that repeatedly. And last night it just stuck out like a sore thumb. Like he's leaning so far back in his chair.
Oh, he
trying to get as far away from the microphone as
He
possible.
was rocking so much. Guys, if you ever want to know when Superintendent H.D. Chambers is like in his feelings or doesn't like what's being said or is nervous about something, you will watch him start rocking in his chair fiddling. It's like an old man.
He leans so far back in the chair, it's like a recliner.
I thought he was going to fall over. And this is, we're smiling and, but the realization is this is not funny.
Right. It hadn't been funny since he got here.
And when you look at, and I'm bringing this up again, I was kind of disgusted when John Hanson, trustee for HCC,
previous school board, Alief ISD school board member,
said that Alief ISD is a well-oiled machine. And like you said in our last video, it depends on how you use that machine.
Right. It is actually a well-oiled machine. Unfortunately, the oil parts of the machine is functioning for the intent of Superintendent Chambers and his organized crime unit. So when you look at it from that aspect, they are very well organized. Unfortunately, the things in which they desire to do, the things in which they do, the mantras in which they follow, don't benefit our community or our children. Nor does it align with the mission statement, vision statement, goals, or objectives of the district. That's the biggest point.
Well, so I went to a training the other day, and it was talking about how to recognize human smuggling. And the crazy thing—
What is it? Human smuggling?
Human smuggling.
Okay.
And trafficking. And, more so human trafficking, because that's one of the things that you can really, truly identify in our district, in District F. Based upon, one, if you travel down Bissonnette, from Wilcrest all the way over to the 59, you'll see a whole bunch of young women walking around scantily dressed, showing body parts, that typically should be viewed within public. And a lot of them, from my understanding, used to be Alief students.
And some of them are still current Alief ISD students, as young as elementary school and middle school currently. Yeah.
And so what I would say is that when I was sitting in that training, I was just completely disgusted based on the fact that we obviously haven't done our job. Not us, me and Damon Perone, but our district. Because let's be honest, if all of our parents, businesses alike, all came to those school board meetings and held those board members and Superintendent H.D. Chambers accountable for educating our children, we wouldn't have this problem.
Do me a favor, say again where that corridor is of human trafficking that you stated.
Wilcrest, Bissonnette. From Wilcrest, you'll see it from start Wilcrest, sometimes all the way down to Kirkwood, and all the way over to the 59 right there by where Sears used to be. And there's a Whataburger, Burger King, and used to be a Washington Mutual Bank, and a Shell gas station right there. Yeah. And there's a whole hotel right there behind there. And even police officers drive down through there, and it's like, okay.
I asked you that for a reason, because it's obviously a hot spot, right?
Yes.
And it's no coincidence that every last one of our schools that's in improvement required is right there in that area. Yeah. That's why I asked you to state that again.
You have Horn, which is right there, just east of Gilchrist. And then you have what?
Landis,
Best, Betty Best, elementary. Not only is Best within that area, but it recently there was a report about a second grade teacher that was allegedly inappropriately touching second grade students.
Right.
There's reports that.
And the district filed charges against him. Be clear about that. Alief ISD filed charges against this gentleman, this Alief ISD teacher, for allegedly inappropriate contact and relationships with second grade students.
That was way after the fact.
Way after the fact, right? It was reported.
After he had already went to work for another school district.
Right. It was reported in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. It was reported again. While they were doing their investigation, he resigned in the middle of the school year or whatever, went to Fort Bend ISD. While he was at Fort Bend ISD, somehow Alief ISD picked up the investigation again. No new information, same old information. Found that it was probable cause enough to go ahead and charge him with inappropriate contact with his second grade students. Filed charges with Harris County District Attorney's Office. Harris County District Attorney picked up the states, and the charges were filed, I think, April 5th, 2019.
You know, it's interesting because you think about this. If I've given this person, which predominantly or respectively, in a situation where a person's leaving towards the end of the school year.
Or the middle, just say middle of the school year. You cannot leave until your contract is done,
So someone may have, let's say it's possible that someone may have gave recommendation.
They had to give him a recommendation because if you're an educator, you're in the business of educating, how do you leave one school in the middle of the school year and say that you're effective, right? You got a whole summer to make your mind up, right? You don't sign your contract until like February. So you leaving in the middle of the school year, going to another district, natural reaction will be like, what are you doing here? It's like me coming to your house and I'm supposed to be at work. Like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be at work.
So what I'm leading to is, tell me if this doesn't seem strange to you. This guy, or that allegedly has done these acts, right? He ends up landing in another district.
Fort Bend ISD.
And then, all of a sudden, the former district decides to go after him.
Alief ISD goes after him.
Now, the question I would ask you, does that seem like that other district said, hey, you sent this guy over here, you told us he was good, and now we got these issues coming up, you need to go ahead and do what you were supposed to do in the first place.
And the new school district, Fort Bend ISD, is now charged with investigating any kids that did or potentially have come in contact with this gentleman, because Alief ISD put the entire district of Fort Bend at risk by allowing this gentleman to go work there and giving him a clear recommendation. Because make no mistakes about it, when you leave a school district in the middle of the school year, any principal, any school, any district is going to follow up with the previous school district, find out, hey, what's going on with this teacher and how are they leaving in the middle of the school year? Do you authorize them? Do you approve them? Do you give good recommendation? And obviously, Alief ISD said yes.
So would you believe, based upon your knowledge of behaviors of this district, you've been pretty much riding Alief for the last, how many years? As far as
I wouldn't say riding. I just say I've been woke since I've been active in the community since 2011.
2011.
So I wouldn't quantify it as riding. I'm just woke.
Okay. So since 2011, you have knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You've been made privy to situations where favoritism, discrimination, retaliation has been
falsification.
Yes, has been
theft. That can go on and on.
Yeah.
Anything but educating kids and uplifting our community. I've witnessed it happen through the district.
I mean, and we talked earlier. You said we told me to wait because we wanted to make sure that we gave people as much information to make them knowledgeable and maybe awaken them as well.
And trust but verify. Don't take my word for it. I mean, don't even take my word that my name is Damon Barone. Go do your research for yourself. I don't expect anyone to sit here. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. You don't have to trust what I'm saying. All I'm saying is listen to what I'm saying and go verify for yourself.
I mean, the information is out there. Google is amazing.
It is. It absolutely is.
Absolutely. And then most of it is public information when it pertains to any type of court proceedings, legal actions.
District proceedings, make open records requests from the district and make them give you the information.
Absolutely. So,
call your school board members and talk to them directly. Call them on the phone, email them, write them a letter. Call your superintendent, email him, write him a letter. Call the State Board of Education, send them an email, write them a letter. Call the Texas Education Agency, email them, write them a letter. Do open records requests from them.
Absolutely. So, back to what I'm saying. So, based upon your knowledge of how the inner workings of our district and things that you've seen in the past, would you believe that it was possible that the behavior with not reporting it was more or less in line with the tradition of, if I like you, I'll save you and let you go free? Amador Velasquez.
Right.
And others just like them, where they got transferred to other schools even though they should have been fired.
Right.
They got promoted, different things like that. Would you say that is identical to the same situations?
I would say the district administration, upper echelons is what I'm talking about. Their game plan is, one, try not to let any information out that makes their leadership look bad. Mm-hmm. They try to say the district, but it basically boils down to they're responsible for the district, so they don't want to make their leadership look bad. Two, protect anybody that's willing to lie, cheat, and steal for them by any means necessary, and promote those individuals. Try to give as many favors as you can that looks like just generous gifts, because now you owe me something.
Yes.
So those are the four things that I consistently see. I'll give you a prime example. Last night I watched the news after getting home. The school board meeting let out at 11:15 last night. So I got home and I watched the news that was recorded, and I noticed that there was a charter school that was on Channel 13 News for the administration stealing field trip money from parents. And so they went to court. The court made them pay all the money back, or you pay some money back. They have to give parents like $100, $100 per month back until it's all paid up. But I sat there and I was like, now here I am, provided Channel 13 News with information about a Mahaney Elementary 3rd grade teacher stealing field trip money, my money included, my daughter's money for the field trip, and taking our personal identifiable information home, right? Yes. Which can be sold, used, or whatever. That 3rd grade teacher was not only not fired, right? Executive Director of Human Resources, Louis Olivas, wrote this individual up. The teacher admitted to taking the money and taking the documents home, and alleged she shredded it, which again is illegal anyway. Even the fact that you took it is illegal. And then guess what? At the end of the year, Assistant Principal Heather Turner gave the teacher that stole the money a good recommendation or a good review at the end of the year. And guess where Heather Turner is now? Assistant Principal Heather Turner is now at Alief ISD Boudewig Intermediate School as Principal Heather Turner. Channel 13 News don't report that. Now that's in my lawsuit against the district as an exhibit number E008. Harris County case number 2017-25766, exhibit number E008.
And I'm pretty sure that that's accurate. Damon has cataloged a prestigious amount of exhibits against the district. And we laugh about this stuff, but once again, it is just so sad because once again, the children are suffering.
And let me be clear, I think I said this before, that when I filed a lawsuit against the district and I represent myself pro se, that means as my own attorney, by no means did I expect to win because I don't have a law degree, right? I'm just a college student, right? I'm just a grad student and a teacher of the district. My whole purpose of doing it was, one, I got to stand up and fight for what's right. That's first and foremost. Number two, I knew that, so I was so meticulous about my exhibits that even if they silenced me, right, even if I lost it, even if they put a gag order on me, the fact that I filed these exhibits will make these documents public records forever. So there's no way that they can mute my voice. There's no way that they can get rid of this evidence. There's no way that they can deny this evidence because it will stand the test of time in the Harris County Courthouse, and anybody can go and look that information up, ask for the information, or ask for a copy of it.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, my charge was dismissed. My lawsuit was dismissed because I didn't respond in a timely manner to a motion that the district filed. One, it was during finals. So it was either concentrate on my finals during my master's degree or focus on figuring out how to respond to this motion. I'm paying for school out of pocket, you know what I'm saying? So I chose to take care of my master's degree. So inevitably, by default, my case got dismissed. I'm not mad at the judge. They did their job. One, I'm not an attorney. Two, again, my education was more important at the time. But at the end of the day, I still won the race because I got all these exhibits out there for public records. So you don't have to trust me. Verify it.
Absolutely. And not only that, the lawsuit, what really does the lawsuit is just something that typically people just pay whatever penalty and still move on with the same behavior.
And then they put a gag order on it, and so they continue their practice, and they continue their illicit actions. My whole purpose is to get change in the district. So my voice being heard is more important than my pocket getting lined by the district. At the end of the day, if they put $1 million in my pocket and tell me to be quiet, then that means 46,000 other students and parents are getting railroaded.
Yes.
That's a problem for me. At some point in time, somebody has to stand up and say, you know what? I'm going to fight for the people till my last breath. And that's what I've decided to do. I'm not going anywhere.
You know, and that's a big deal, because when you look at our district, a lot of people, oh man, why do you live over there, man? You can move to Katy or whatnot. I was like, why? Why? Why should I increase my living expenses just because you feel like this area is a viable area? Let me be clear. One thing, I firmly believe that District F, Alief ISD district, and the Alief community as a whole is diamond in the rough.
Let me piggyback on that. I'm glad that you said that, and it made my chest stick out so far. I think it was the Landis principal, Principal Kelly Upshaw, talked about how they had a STEM program on their campus. Mm-hmm. And before they got to that, they were talking about the social-economic disadvantages of the students and how many of them don't speak the language, and this was what contributing to them being in IR and all that. So later, she goes on to say that they provided a STEM program, and it was beautiful to see how the kids talked about their project. Even the ones that didn't speak English, and you'd be amazed on the ones that you would think were not able to articulate what was going on, was able to communicate how well they did on their project and what they created, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm getting chills now. And I said, she is saying what we've always been saying the entire time. Stop talking about our community being English as a second language and socially economically advantaged. If you put the work into them, if you provide them the opportunities, that all the other districts and communities are getting, they will exceed. The only one that talks about our social economic disadvantages is the district administration. Kids don't talk about it, the parents don't talk about it, community don't talk about it. So why are y'all continuing to use this as a crutch? Y'all use it as a crutch because you don't want to be held accountable for not putting the effort into us. I'm a product of Alief ISD. Like I said last time, I'm one of the socially economically disadvantaged children that they're talking about, who's currently in the master's program right now for nonprofit management and seeking to go to law school. So stop saying that our money prevents us from learning. Stop saying that our environment prevents us from learning. Inevitably, what prevents us from learning is administrators and teachers who don't care about us. That's what prevents us from learning. Dollars not being poured into our education or our schools or our community. That's what prevents us from learning. You got schools in Laredo that's close to the border that speak less English than the kids that's in Alief ISD doing better than the kids that's in our district. Let me say that again. Students in Laredo that's close to the border that speak damn near no English doing better than the kids in our district that English is a second language, because they put the effort, love, and time into those kids and don't make excuses for them. Alief ISD administration is in it for a money grab. When I say administration, I'm talking about upper echelons. And I'm saying one more point, I'm going to yield to the floor. Last night they presented about 12, 15 kids, academic kids and scholarship kids for sports. Every last one of those kids were minorities. African American, Hispanic, other, Asian, right? Yes. The board, African American, Hispanic, other. The individuals, the administration that sits over there to the left, to the right of the school board, all white. Let me say that again, all white. The individuals that make day-to-day decisions, including the superintendent, white. Those administrations should look and reflect the community in which they serve, and it doesn't, and that's why our community looks the way it does. Because at the end of the day, they don't give a damn about us. And I'm not saying that white people don't give a damn about us, but what I'm saying is that the administration, the board, should mirror the district, just like you go to Katie's board or whoever, Pearland. Katie's board and administration should reflect their community. That's what I'm saying. When your board, when your administration doesn't reflect your community, in essence, you're going to have a disconnect.
I would agree with that. When you look to a lot of times, I know I do it quite a bit because I want to see their faces. And again,
let me just be clear. This is not a racist comment. I'm not saying that white people don't care about African Americans or Hispanics or that. Hell, some black people, on the board included, don't do much for African Americans. Some Hispanics, on the board, Alief ISD board included, don't do much for the Hispanic community. So this is not a knock at Caucasians, because there's some black people talking about they doing right by African Americans and they don't. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw a rock. Hispanics, Asians, white, all I'm saying is that the leadership should always reflect the community in which they serve.
It's interesting when you brought that up about the diversity on the board. When you really look at Lily Strong is Asian. You have Natasha Butler, Darlene Rowe, and Ann Williams that are both African, all three are African American. And then you have Rick Moreno, so I would Hispanic.
He is. You don't have to consider him.
I mean, it's kind of, some people could have a last name, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. But and then you have John Wynn, who is of Asian descent as well. Right. So that is the majority in our community. We're starting with the Hispanic community is the majority. And then you have the African Americans, and then you have Asian, and then
white population is almost non-existent.
And then other.
Well, when I say non-existent, 1%, 2%.
3%.
It's a small percentage.
It's a small percentage.
Whereas in the previous, like the 90s when I was in high school, and in the 80s when I was in middle school and in elementary school, it was predominantly white. It was all, for lack of better words, it was pretty much 85-90% Caucasian. With the next percentage was Hispanic and African American, small minority, 15%, maybe even less. Times have changed. What happened was, as demographics change, they begin to go to, when I say them, the majority community began to move towards Katy.
Move outwards, Sugar Land,
Fort Bend, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So that's how we got to the demographics that we have now.
Yeah, and I mean the history of the district, because I'm intrigued by the district's change, how it went from being this sought after, ISD. Everybody moved from wherever far near to come to this district, and then when all of a sudden, and let's be honest, I mean I'm up for real with my conversation. When it seems like when the black community was able to transition into the district slowly but surely, people start to move out. And then you got now and you see this, right? Because if you look at HISD, look at their schools in IR, they're predominantly in the black communities, Sunnyside.
African American, Hispanic.
Yeah, in the black and brown communities. And then you look at Alief ISD improvement required schools, where are they at?
African American, Hispanic communities.
Because once you cross a certain threshold, right, a certain street, you notice the difference in the ratings for the schools. Right? Anything south of what? BeachNet and west of, was it Cook? That's different, right? I mean, east of Cook. So everything in that little pocket right there are all the IR schools and schools that are destined to be on there or have been on there. Because Smith Elementary was on there in the past. Western was on there in the past. Ali Middle has had trouble. And so, but once you go west of Cook and you go north of BeachNet, those schools tend to do better. What you'll find is that when you look at the breakdown, the racial breakdown of those schools, you'll see that there's no Hispanic or black or African American majority there.
Right. And I'll do you one even better. The reason why the African American and Hispanic communities seem to be performing less and get less attention. Let's just be honest. Let's just be candid about it. We don't show up to the things that we need to or that matter.
Yes.
If we start going to the school board meeting, if we start going to TEA, if we start going to Austin, if we start going to the Senate and the House meetings, things change.
Oh, absolutely.
Who the hell gonna do it? If we don't care, who the hell gonna care for us?
You know, it's crazy that you say that because I just picture popped in my head when it's time for those programs where the kids are gonna sing and do whatnot, like Christmas programs and stuff like that. It's packed house. Packed house, standing room.
But to our how can I say it? To piggyback on what I said is sometimes that information is also kept from us too. You'll promote a literacy night, but you ain't gonna tell me that it's a school board meeting and we voting on this, that, and the third. So don't get it misconstrued like I'm saying, we African Americans and Hispanics don't show up so we get done wrong and we willfully do it. Sometimes that us not showing up is intentional by administration. And I'll give you a prime example. Charles was Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum Deputy Superintendent of Business and Facilities said last night that the House Bill, Senate Bill 3, the district stands to gain several $1 million. There's a gradated range on socially economic disadvantaged students. So first of all, there's a 5% increase flat out.
Yes.
Going from 2% to 2.5 or something like that. So there's a 5% increase. And then there's a gradated scale for certain criteria that the district will get more money if you are more impoverished, if you will,
yes,
versus another district or another student. So the push is to quantify how disadvantaged each one of our families and students are so we can get more money. So he talked about sending out the survey and then promoting the survey because our district as a whole has a tendency not to fill out those surveys. So he said in his own words, we have to do a push to make sure that we get those surveys filled out. So I have a problem with that. One, the district will go above and beyond to reach the community, right, which they make excuses for. They'll go above and beyond to reach the community when the district as a whole is going to benefit, receive more money, but you won't go above and beyond to reach the community when the communication as a whole benefits the community as itself, such as coming to a school board meeting, such as being advised that there was a teacher molesting students at second grade at best, such as telling us community that the third grade teacher at Mahaney Elementary was stealing money from y'all. Do you see what I'm saying? So I want to be clear that when I say that African Americans and Hispanics don't come to the meetings, sometimes it's strategically prevented for us from coming to those meetings, such as school board meetings not being live streamed.
Yes.
Because President Ann Williams says that they really want to be here, they'll be here, but you allow your school board member to live stream in. So you can live stream in and participate, and you voted to be here. We elected you to be here to represent us, so you can live stream in. But we as a whole, remember the community is your boss, can't get the information.
Well, here's the deal. Let me piggyback on that. One of the problems I have is that we claim we're a district of innovation, right? Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things that I'd like to see at an even larger scale. Why are we still spending time even stepping into places with the way technology is now? Just as much as we're right here now, live streaming this, the people on social media, we can use technology. Maybe that parent can't be there, but they do have a question. Maybe they do want to
Board staff is also told by principals and administration, I've heard this firsthand, they're not allowed to come to the board meetings. That's why, like, when they do their presentation, they let them go because they don't want them to hear what the hell is really going on.
Oh, I agree.
So staff is not allowed to come to the board meeting. You got your boss that's telling you that. You got your superintendent who's responsible of what day-to-day operations saying, don't you show up at this board meeting. So what you going to do? No. And now I'll give you a prime example. Whenever I live stream the board meetings, I see staff members and even administrators watching the videos. So they're interested in it. They're just not allowed to come to the meeting, or they don't want to come and end up getting retaliated against.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a big deal. But what I was trying to say was that with technology, you don't necessarily have to show up to the meeting.
No.
You shouldn't have to. And if you want to speak during the patron presentation, you should be able to do so just like the head board member sitting there and being involved in the meeting through live stream, telecommunication.
Right.
We can do the same thing. Not only that, but why are we still going to court for misdemeanor charges? Why not just set it up so the judge is there right there and the person can be at home with their tablet just like this? Yes, Your Honor. I plead not guilty.
I'm glad that you brought up court because during the council committee, the board council meeting before the
committee meeting.
Yeah, where they're trying to select legal counsel simply for the board to represent them. It was stated that, and also during the last board meeting workshop, a school board member, Trustee Lily Trump, talked about why are we looking for an additional counselor for the board when that's going to cost more money? Like, why are we doing that? You know, we already have legal counsel through Attorney John Eric Nichols. First of all, Attorney John Eric Nichols doesn't represent the board. He represents the district.
Yeah.
So you can't play both offense and defense, be the referee and be the coach of both teams. It doesn't work as a conflict of interest. Yes. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, we're paying the money regardless. He ain't working for the board for free, right? Okay. So when he acts on behalf of the district, they're paying him. When he acts on behalf of the board, they're paying him. So getting him to stay in his lane in everyday vernacular, stay in your lane is not going to cost us more to pay somebody to actually do that job. Furthermore, my biggest point is if the board had their own counsel, they probably would actually save money by not getting sued by so many parents, staff members, administrators, etc. Just the 7 lawsuits alone that I named would have saved them tons of money had the board had their own counsel. One, Eric Nichols should not be allowed to work both sides of the fence, nor should his firm be able to work both sides of the fence, nor should anyone that he's working with or friends with be able to work both sides of the fence. That's like me and you working with each other. Or, matter of fact, no, that's not like me. That's like me stealing money from you. I stole money from you, admitted that I stole money from you, you busted me, and then I say, my cousin does taxes. Let them do your taxes. You're going to be like, hell no, man. You done stole money from me. Why would I trust you with my social security number, all my information, and have you get paid off doing my taxes? That's foolishness. So I say that to say, when Eric Nichols sued the Chuka family, right, for many years and for millions of dollars, right, they were trying to bankroll him. It's broadcast on Fox 26 News. And then Fox 26 came in and discovered it and went to the board meeting, and the entire board acted like they didn't know, right? Yeah. Ann Williams was on the board at the time, and who was current president, and Rick Moreno was on the board at the time. One, if he's an employee of the district, he should have been terminated because he was acting without the consent of the school board, right? If he was doing that at the time, H.D. Chambers should have been terminated too, because they were allowing Eric Nichols to provide legal updates to the board. They're required by law to provide legal updates. So if he was indeed acting on his own as a rogue attorney, then he should have been terminated. Why is he still with the district? Then why is he even getting promoted to allow to be working with the school board and or make recommendations to have his firm?
Well, the problem is that he can't really work with the board.
He's not
He
supposed
can't work
to.
with the board because he represents their employee. That's kind of like
Do you remember the Robert Greene public hearing where Robert Greene was fighting, a teacher Robert Greene was fighting his termination through the district, and Eric Nichols was representing Elizabeth Powell, Superintendent Elizabeth Powell, in essence was a district, and then they had another gentleman sitting in giving legal counsel for the board. Well, after the ordeal took place, which the board ended up upholding the district's decision to terminate Mr. Greene, come to find out, the legal counsel works for the same law firm that Eric Nichols works for. What the hell?
That's the judgment that should have been thrown out.
The judgment should have been thrown out, should be reviewed, right? Conflict of interest. How are you as your co-worker representing each other? So y'all go back to the, hey God, I need you to, we got a hearing today, I need you to sway on my side, or this is what I want you to tell the board, or this is what I want you to uphold. Foolishness. Robert Greene, go watch the video. I forget the attorney's name, I wasn't prepared to talk about that, but go look at the video.
So, what I'm going to talk about now is the meeting last night that had us there until it was time for us to die.
What'd you say?
The 6:30 to 11.
6:30 to 11:15, yeah.
Oh my God.
School board meeting.
So, you spoke about this earlier. Principals from a couple of the schools that are on IR came up and gave a presentation, and a lot of their presentation was similar. They had the same exact information. Now, let's talk about the DCA information. Explain to everybody what DCA stands for and what it's used for.
District Common Assessment. You have the STAR test. I'm like we're going hierarchy. You have the STAR test. You have the DCA, which is the District Campus Assessment, and then you have the CCA, which is the Campus Common Assessment. And what the STAR test is basically to see how the districts around the state are performing. How are you educating our children? This is what we hold you accountable for. The STAR test is the state of Texas report card on how they're educating our children.
Measurement of
accountability. So what happens is the DCA is the District Common Assessment, which is created by the district. They compile these tests, they make these tests up, and they use old STAR data or old STAR problems to create these tests. So what basically happened is that basically the districts don't want to be surprised by how well or how bad that their children are going to, their students are going to do on the STAR test. So they started proposing these DCA tests to kind of give them a litmus test to see where the kids are before the STAR test come and see how they can make some adjustments. Well, when that happens, the district started holding principals accountable, right? And so naturally, the principals like, we don't want no surprises either, so we gonna make up our own test, the pre-test before the pre-test, to see how we doing, the CCAs, to see how we doing before the DCAs come, before our bosses dig off in our ass.
So the CCA, explain what that is.
The CCA is a common campus assessment created by each school to test their students, or it's composed of old STAR data, just like the DCA, the District Common Assessment. It's created by the staff. CCA is created by the staff using old data question, old STAR questions to test the children to see how they're doing before the district finds out when they test them during the DCA. And the whole purpose of the DCA is to use old STAR data questions to see how the district is doing before the state finds out how the districts are doing at the STAR test. So the STAR test is the main test. The DCA is the pre-test to find out how they're going to do on the STAR, and the CCA is the pre-test before the pre-test to find out how they're going to do on the STAR. So the kids are in essence, and the DCAs and CCAs happen several times throughout the school year. It's not just one test. So your children would take DCAs, I think, twice a year, and they'll take common campus assessments several times a year. So it's not just the STARS a one-time test, the DCA is a multiple-time test, and the CCA is a multiple-time test. So they're testing the hell out of your kids to see how they're going to do on the STAR test.
So, okay, with that, my head hurts because when I started thinking about that, when are we actually in the classroom teaching? If we're taking tests, if we're preparing kids, so if we're trying to make sure that they score well on this test, because we know we suck in the classroom, when are we truly educated?
I'm glad that you asked that now, and I'll give you a perfect illustration for that. If the teachers and administrators are teaching to the TEKs, we don't have to do all that testing because I'm giving you exactly what I don't have to worry about what's on the test because I'm teaching to the TEKs and I'm teaching at a high level. If the district says I need to teach here, as long as I'm teaching here, I'm good.
Absolutely.
Give them more than what they expected, and you don't have to worry about anything. I'll give you a prime example of what I'm talking about. This is our third time doing this session.
Yes.
So far, they've been about 2 hours each. Every single time I've come in, no paper, no script.
Absolutely.
Not knowing what we're going to talk about. I've been prepared because I've been engaged, right? So I don't necessarily need the information. I can go back and find it. I may misquote something or say the wrong name, but for the most part, if this were a test, I would pass.
Yes.
Right? My point is this. If the teachers gave a damn about our students and stopped worrying about socially, economically disadvantaged and all this other stuff, and the administrators stopped trying to focus on what we can't do or what we're not supposed to do and pour it into our community, we would prosper and be prepared. We wouldn't have to worry about CCAs, DCAs, or even the STAR test because you're confident on what the hell you're putting in our community. Just like I'm confident on what I'm sitting here saying. I've quoted policies and procedures. I've quoted exhibit numbers. I've quoted lawsuit case numbers. I've named names. I've named dates. I've named individuals. No paper sitting in front of me.
And that goes back to what I like saying on a regular basis. The only limitations one has are those self-imposed. So if you think about that, if the district is consistently saying, well, these are economically disadvantaged, socially disadvantaged children, that becomes the foundation for how they go out and perceive and work with these children.
What you do, right? What you do is predicates what you believe. I said that last night at the board meeting, right? What you do is just a clear indication of what you actually believe. And what they've been doing is not educating our children.
So when you believe something that's not worth the effort, you put that amount of effort into it, the least amount of effort into it.
Or if you value something like being in Austin every week, right? Then that's where you're going to be.
And it was quite interesting because knowing what you know, seeing what you see from the district, it should piss you off. It should really piss you off. And for anybody watching this video right now, you should be pissed off.
Or even if you're not pissed off, it should inspire you to go and see what the hell we're talking about. Let me just go look and see if they know what to talk about. Or let me just go and see if they're lying just a little bit, or if their facts are misconstrued, or if they're so far off tilt that they need to just shut it down and disappear.
Absolutely, because knowledge is power.
Yeah, indeed it is.
And the fact that half the kids can barely, in some schools, can barely even read or do.
I think 23% of our student population is reading at a third grade level. 23, 25%, something like that.
And I'm going to tell you something. We're both volunteers with the district.
Clear volunteer. Let's be specific about that because they had a volunteer at Mahaney Elementary with those cocaine charges and was allowed to volunteer and rack up nearly 40 hours a week. And then they found, powder cocaine in one of the bathrooms, and that volunteer ended up not getting removed from the the school, but being recognized as volunteer of the year, even though she was uncleared volunteer, and nor was the school sanctioned for having an uncleared volunteering, and being recognized as a volunteer of the year at Mahaney Elementary. Just saying. So you and I are both cleared volunteers. I've been a cleared and registered volunteer since 2011. It is 2019.
This is my second year as a volunteer. I like to hang out at the family centers and kind of engage with like the parents that are coming in, that a lot of times are English as a second language parents, and right with the children. That may be sometimes the family center and the elementary schools are where they take the children that are disrupting class, especially with one of the elementary schools, because the liaison in there is very good with the kids. But I volunteered recently for a field day at Klinsman Elementary, Klinsman Intermediate. And I will tell you, man, it was the best day I ever had. I was in charge of a kickball competition, the old school kickball one, and so I was excited about that. But the kids that were coming out, man, they was just like, okay, you can see where the non-structure is, right? You can see that they weren't used to having a structured like environment, and so I started explaining the rules to them. Hey, no, do this, don't do that. Hey, stop, do this, and then as it went on, you slowly start to see how they were focused and how they started to become committed to being the best. It took a couple rounds, but then you notice, like, hey, I'm gonna be right here. They started instructing each other and help implement. And then, so what I'm saying there to say is that it's not that difficult.
What it boils down to is, at the end of the day, kids listen to and respect people that seem to care about them. There's no, I don't care what classroom you go into, how great a teacher that you are, or how well you think you know your information. No real learning begins until kids actually feel like you give a damn about them, that you care. I don't care how good a teacher. And that's the problem today, is that many educators go into education because they want to be a teacher. Many educators get promoted because they know their stuff. But at the end of the day, being a teacher actually has this much to do with teaching, and this much to do with being a social worker, being a nurse, being a mama, being a daddy, being a counselor, being a referee, being a police officer, being a mentor, being a brother, being a sister. Very, very little of your day really has to do or is spent on teaching, because you have all this different stuff going on. So I would argue to say that if you get into education to be a teacher, you're in the wrong field. You have to actually care about people to be a good teacher. And the same thing is, from my experience, the same thing occurs with being a peace officer. If you get into the law field to stop crime and do all that, I would argue that you're getting into the wrong field. Because very little of your day is spent on stopping crime. And the majority of your day is spent on interacting with people. Right?
They call it community policing.
Right? So if you don't care about people, and it shows, if you don't care about people, you're an ineffective police officer, in my opinion. You're an ineffective educator. You're an ineffective administrator. Because every last one of those doctors, all that is predicated on community. All that is predicated on relationships. If you don't, that's why we go back to our doctor, because we build a relationship with that doctor. Not because they know any more different scientific medical research or know the best drugs. I have a relationship with this doctor. So I would argue that if we stop hiring teachers that want to be teachers and start hiring people that want to be that care about people, we'd be all right. We'd be all right.
I think one of the things that I always said is that if we had more world changers in place, and that's in politics, that's in education, That's just anything, even at your job,
Right.
You know, because you always got those people that are just complacent and they're happy just to even have a job. It's like, man, I got bills to pay.
And that's why you rarely ever hear me talk about what my political preference is. That's why you rarely hear me talk about me joining African American councils or whatever, because at the end of the day, I care about people. I push my political affiliation to the side for the sake of people.
Yes.
I push my race to the side for the sake of people. I push my affiliation to Alief ISD to the side for the sake of education.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I don't do a lot of talking about my political affiliation, because at the end of the day, I just care about people. I don't give a damn about all that other stuff. I don't give a damn about your social economic background. I don't give a damn about your race. I don't give a damn about your political affiliation.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn about your status, your economic status. I care about people.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of make us click, because when I first met you, I was like, oh man, that's a good person. And then knowing that you have ties to where my family's from, New Jersey, and then we talked and stuff, and then seeing your commitment to, you know, the children. It was, when I looked at you and I saw what you were doing, it didn't seem personal, like I need this result for me personally.
Right.
It's we need this result. This community deserves better. And that's one of the things that I would tell anyone.
Because my actions is a clear indication of what I believe.
Exactly. And you need more people like that. You know, for me it's the same exact thing. People ask me questions all the time because I've decided to delve into the political arena, and you know, everyone has these questions because they don't know me. But here's the deal. It's a good thing you don't know me, because I've never given you anything to question me about. And my actions right now, if you see me, this video, I mean, we're opening ourselves up. We're opening ourselves to retaliation, ridicule, everything.
Right.
And when people delve out there, the first thing people want to do is quickly question their motives. As to, well, they're bitter, they're angry black men that just got beef with this district or this white man doing this job.
But you're only bitter, and you're only bitter when you're standing up for what's right. That kills me. Nobody's ever bitter when they're doing the wrong thing. Nobody's ever bitter when they're breaking policies and procedures. Nobody's ever bitter when they're stealing from the community, you know, violating our community's education and finance. Nobody's ever bitter doing that. But the moment you stand up and say, this is wrong, this is what you said you're going to do, but this is what you're actually doing, or this is what the policy says, and this is what you're doing. Now all of a sudden you're bitter, you're angry, you're a danger, you're a menace.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is that people need to understand that a district is a business.
It absolutely is.
Their service, their product is education. Mm-hmm. Now, whether it's quality, high-level education, or lackluster, is totally up to the business and the people in control of it.
I'll give you a promise.
Let
the administrators not get a paycheck and see if they still got a passion for education. Let all the administration that's sitting over in the left-hand side of the school board meeting get a pay cut, don't get a raise, or don't get paid at all, and see if they're still passionate about education. It's a business.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that came up in a conversation recently when I referred to the city of Houston being a business. Mm-hmm. One, it generates revenue, it employs people, and provides products and service.
Right.
So product being water, services being trash and other
safety,
public safety and things of that nature. And so it's a business. And when I say it's a business, you have to look at it in the sense of, one, it has to operate in the sense of providing longevity, right? Because if we just keep doing willy-nilly things and run out here and spend several hundred million, billions of dollars with no real return, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Right.
Now, what I would tell anyone, now it depends on who's running the business. Right now, if we say who's running Alief ISD, the business, that's HD Chambers superintendent.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Ultimately the CEO.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your vice presidents, which ultimately, or what's CFO, whatever.
Yeah, CFO, vice president, deputy
Yes.
superintendents of curriculum.
And then you got your board of directors, which are the board of trustees.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business. The district generates what? Revenue, right? From tax, from property tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also have expenditures and they employ people, right? And the product is education.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or should be education.
Or should be education. So what I tell people is that you have to know or understand business when it comes to education, when it comes to government. If you don't, that's where the failure is going to start. Because you can come out all day and say...
And that's how they keep people at bay, is that they tell them it's an education thing, you don't know nothing about it. Well, hell, I know about finances, I know about policies, and what job doesn't deal with finances? What individual doesn't deal with? Even an unemployed person deals with finances. Hey,
Exactly.
I want a soda, I don't have no money, how am I going to get this $2?
Exactly.
Everybody deals with finance, so they use it as a crutch to kind of keep people away and say, we know what we're doing, don't look over our shoulder, we got it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, people, even socially economically disadvantaged communities, know more about education and the running of education than we're given credit for. And I'll give you a prime example. The reason why my mom moved to this district when I was younger, because Alief ISD was a good academic school district. Never been to a board meeting, still ain't never been to no board meeting, don't have no data, but community members recognize this a good school, this a bad school, this a good district, this a bad district. So we know about education. That's why we move.
Yes. Yes. And that, I'm going to talk
We
about
won't move out of the district, but we damn sure will move from school to school. Hey, we know Landis is doing worse than this. If Petrosky over here, I'm going to go and try to see if I can move. Is there any apartments over here by Petrosky? Oh, okay, well, Petrosky's not doing so well, so we're going to move over here by Martin Elementary. Are there any apartments over there by Martin Elementary? Yeah. So we moving. We're trying to get to the best school for our children.
So let's talk about that. You brought up the important point that I want to try to make people clear about when we talk about situations like this, so mobility and then continuously enrolled. So mobility has come up time and time again during these presentations for these failing schools principals.
Right.
They talk about mobility and how it affects the progress and the success of the students in their schools.
Right.
Now, what are your thoughts on the excuses that have been given by the higher-ups of the administration when it comes to the failing schools and the mobility rate?
The mobility conversation and the mobility word as a whole is an administrative crutch. For lack of better words, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You from Missouri, right?
Yes.
I was born in New Jersey. We both here in Texas. If I take a road trip with you to Missouri and we stop at McDonald's and I get a double cheeseburger and fries, right, and I eat it, and then we take a road trip to New Jersey and we stop at McDonald's and I get a double cheeseburger and fries, and then we drive down to Texas and we stop at McDonald's and I get a double cheeseburger and fries, every last one of those double cheeseburger and fries is going to be exactly the same. No matter where we stop and go, right?
Yes.
Because they do the exact same thing at every last McDonald's, right? Now, that's big picture.
Yes.
We're going to go small microcosm of education. In Alief ISD, they have a thing called a pacing guide, right? Which means that this is what we're going to be teaching throughout the year. This is the order that we're going to be teaching. And this is specifically what will be taught in class according to the TEKS and the requirements throughout the district.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to Landis, the pacing guide is the same. If I go to Martin Elementary, the pacing guide is the same. If I go to Reese, the pacing guide is the same. If I go to Petrosky Elementary, the pacing guide is the same. So if I move all over the place, we should still be on the same pacing guide, much like when we went on an imaginary road trip and we went to McDonald's and all McDonald's was the same.
Yes.
So the fact that we're on a road trip doesn't determine how good or how bad our McDonald's experience is, because they're all the same. They're franchised, right?
Yes.
no matter what school, elementary school, high school, middle school, or whatever our children go to, they should all be receiving the same services because of the district's pacing guide. So to fall back and say that our kids are not learning because of their mobility is bullshit. That's why I say bullshit. That's why I'm so passionate about using those words distinctly, not bullshit.
And I'm glad that, because the way you explained it, it was clear and concise. For those people that may not be in education, yes, and
you've taken your kids to be down.
It's clear that no matter.
And you can go to the Alief ISD website right now and click on the pacing guide.
Oh wow! Is it easily defined? Is it easy to find? Because you know a lot of doctors.
It's not easily defined, but I know where it is, and maybe I'll give a link later on. But I'll walk you through it. But it's there.
Yeah, because
go to curriculum and whatever. I can't remember exact. If I had, again, I'm going off the cuff, so I wasn't prepared, but it lets you know that I know what I'm talking about. But it is on the Alief ISD website, or ask your principals or administrators to show you the pacing guide, or show you where the pacing guide is, or call the administration building right now and ask them to tell you where the pacing guide is. It's there.
Yeah, I don't even know where that is.
But it's there. So my point is that mobility should never be discussed.
Absolutely. And it was kind of offensive when I heard that. I was like, so you're telling me that because a child may have moved one apartment complex to the next and then going to a different
and who wouldn't move trying to go to a better school, right? If we have McDonald's, for example, if we have McDonald's and the line is long, right, we on lunch, we got an hour, what are we going to do? Go somewhere else, exactly. Right? So if you are a community member and you go to a school and the school is doing horrible, or they got 30 kids in each class because you approved class size waivers, what I'm going to do? Take my kid to another school. It's just a smaller microcosm of the real world, right?
Yeah. And that leads to the other discussion too. I mean, we could be here for hours.
Indeed.
Because just what you said, this leads to, because then it goes to how people negatively talk about charter schools. It's like, oh, charter schools are bad. Well, some charter schools aren't bad.
Charter schools are doing well because public schools are failing our community and our children. So they seek an alternative measure.
Exactly.
If public schools were doing what the hell they were supposed to do, charter schools would disappear or be non-existent.
But if you think about this, if there was, it's like this once again, back to
open
business,
market,
back to being a business again, right? A market.
Free
There's
market.
a market.
That's right.
Free market. So you have private schools. You have the Jesuit school, Stryker.
Mm-hmm.
You have other schools like Second Baptist and other.
Straight Jesuit. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Schools where it costs $27,000 more a year to send your high school student.
Mm-hmm.
So people are so desperate to get quality education for their kids that they're willing to not only still pay this property tax to their district where their child should be able to get a quality education.
Right.
They're willing to go out and spend a 1 year's salary on education over here to ensure that their child receives a quality education.
Right, because let's be clear. The children and families that live in our district that don't go to our schools, they're not moving out of the district. They're simply taking their kids out of our district and placing them in other charter schools and other private schools. So let me be clear about that. They're not moving out of our district. So when you see enrollment declining in Alief ISD, it's not because individuals are moving out of the district. They're simply taking their kids. They said, I had enough. I'm taking my child out of the district and placing them in private school or charter schools or whatever. So yeah, they're still paying property taxes. That lets you know how serious the situation is. I'm going to still pay property taxes to Alief, but I'm also going to pay double down and pay extra money to make sure my kids get a better education or get an education in the charter school or private school.
I'm one of those people where I try to get people to see both sides because it's important to be fully
transparent.
Yes. So when you talk about the Department of Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and her ideas about what we call vouchers,
mm-hmm.
when people get to talk negative about it, I have to open their eyes to why that's even a conversation in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at how our district,
mm-hmm.
other districts around, let's be clear, other districts are not saints either. They have their dirt and their skeletons in their closets as well. And so when
anytime you have the human factor involved in anything, you're going to have someone in essence who's shady or doing, self-imposed will or whatever the situation. So it's not to say that Alief is the only school district that has an HD chambers in them or Alief ISD administration. But at the end of the day, when you have an abundance of those individuals, it gets out of hand.
Yeah, it becomes a train wreck. And so what I wanted to say was that, and I'm playing devil's advocate on this because you look at the situation as it stands right now within our own ISD, right? Mm-hmm. If you had the choice to send your kid to any school and take your tax dollars with you to pay for that school, that education at that better school, would you do it?
Absolutely.
So what I tell people is that you have to realize that the only reason why we have these conversations about vouchers and whether they're good or bad is because somebody has created.
Well, here's the flip side of that, though. This is the part that's important. That what I do is so with many other parents. And here comes the problem: is when people from the outside community start showing up to go to your school, the people that have been moving away or the people that don't live in your community start looking like, what you doing over here? You feel me? You understand what I'm going with this? So even though I would be willing to take my tax money and my voucher and put my children someplace else, the people that are already there like, what you doing here? That's where the real issue comes about. So it's not about equal education or educating my community more so. It's about the individuals that's already there. Like, oh, wait a minute, bruh.
Oh yeah, right? And not just that. Here's the negative to a voucher system. Everybody's running off, taking their kids to the other district. The people that can't do that, stuck. Now the school's not getting the funding that it needs.
And you hire even worse teachers, and it's going down and down.
Exactly, and so that's the negative. So we both spoke to positive and negative. So it's up to those people to determine where they want to sit in that issue within that issue. But I'm one of those people. I don't like to hear negative if you haven't looked at both sides of it.
But let me just be clear though. But even though I said I would take my kids and move, my whole existence is to enrich my community. So I don't support taking my kids out of the district with the voucher and taking my tax money and moving it to another district. I live in Alief. That's where I want my money to go. That's where I want my children to be educated. If I didn't want my children to be here, if I didn't want my tax money to be here, I would move. Oh, I haven't moved. So I don't support that for that simple fact is I love my community. At the end of the day, maybe if I didn't love my community or maybe if I wasn't so connected to Alief, I could say otherwise, but me personally, I love Alief so much. That's why I've been here so long. This is my home. The community is my family. And I'm gonna ride or die with my community. We either gonna do well together or we gonna do bad together. But either way it go, I'm gonna be right here fighting for change, uplift, and community involvement.
And I agree with that. That's me too. And because people always say, man, you should probably move your kids to blah 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 this. And I'm like, why, man? I bought a house here. Not only that, but our house is new. No one ever lived in it before. It's us. This is our first home here in Texas. I love the community. I like the accessibility, being able to get wherever I want to go within a short amount of time. Because about 59 with the Beltway, the West Park Tollway. I have an abundance of things to do. I can go to First Colony Mall in Sugar Land. I can go to the movie theater, Reverend Stafford, Poplo's, Walmart. Anything is right there, right? My children have a foundation here, right? They have their house and they have their friends, they have the educators that do well with them, that mentor to them, that are active in communication with me as a parent, that email me, text me, whatever, so no, and I'll have to be clear that I am not a proponent of the voucher system. What I am is a person that likes to make sure that everybody is not speaking, for lack of a better term, half-assed. With the least amount of information. Everybody wants to take a situation based upon just what they heard or a little tidbit of information and immediately take off from it. Right. But see, what I'm big on is you have to know the big picture. You have to understand both sides. Because one thing that I used to tell people when crimes happen or something happen, there's three sides to the story. There's each individual involved and the truth. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be, you have to recognize that and use that to better your understanding versus just taking what somebody says. Like we keep saying during these broadcasts, is that, you know, you don't have to take our word for it. Go out and research on your own. Like we always say, trust but verify.
And at the end of the day, the worst thing that could happen is we could motivate somebody to get more involved in doing their own research. Stop watching the videos and start getting more involved on there, and start watching the economics in the school district. Start watching the academics in the school district. Maybe even volunteer in the school district. That's the worst thing that could happen, is that we would get more people involved in being excited about public education. Yes. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
If that is the only thing that happens.
If we inspire one person to get more involved in public education, whether it be in Alief or any other district, I'm good.
Okay, so it's not that difficult, right? Well, it may be for some. I understand some people work nights, or maybe they just got off at 5 o'clock and turning around and going right back to a school board meeting and sit there for 4 hours yesterday?
Or not even. I mean, there's so much more. Just start clicking on the website and looking through stuff. I mean, if you don't ever go to a school board meeting, it takes steps. I'm not going to act like I've been going to school board meetings ever since I started volunteering in 2011. But take steps. You click on the website. Go find the pacing guide. Go look at the pace. Start there. Just take small steps. And I promise you, the moment you start taking those steps, you're going to start taking more steps and more steps and more steps. So it's not a knock on anybody's inability to do whatever. Hell, you may not even have internet access to look at the pacing guide. Stop by the administration building on your way home and make them give you a copy of it.
Well, here's the deal with that.
Ask your school principal to print it out for you. Ask your child's teacher to print it out for you. They know exactly where it is. So write it in the child's daily planner. Please send me a copy of the pacing guide home with Mary Jane or Bobby Joe or whatever your child's name is. They'll get it to you.
Well, not just that, and there's programs that, and then these videos are informative, right? That's
what we like to think.
Yeah, and so there was a letter that went home. I don't know if it was this year or last school year, where families that were low income or whatnot, that could not necessarily afford internet, there was a deal because your student was attending the Title I district that Comcast, Xfinity, will provide you with low-cost internet. I think it was like only $20 a month.
Yeah, I didn't get that. That's right.
But and then also you can also through your children get a copy of Microsoft Office for use while your child attends the district. So not only can your child have the benefit of that, but you can as well. You can install, I think, on up to 4 computers. Mm-hmm. So there are things out there, but nobody's really pushing that out.
Well, when it's time for the district to get that money from the government for socially economically grading the pay scale, you gonna find they gonna hear a lot about that. They gonna be knocking on doors. They gonna be making videos on YouTube. They gonna be live streaming. It's gonna be on their Facebook. It's gonna be on their Twitter. You're gonna be getting letters, robocalls, volunteer calls.
On the screen
the marquee is gonna be on the marquee. Yeah. They gonna be standing out in front of the schools, passing out the paper. I promise you that.
Oh yeah, because I saw a survey on the website. I just happened to go to the website because I wanted to look at the budget and stuff. And there was a link on the marquee banner that kind of rotates on the website that spoke to the full day pre-K survey.
Right.
Because they want to know how interested the community would be, and I feel it. I said, absolutely, because I have a problem with any program that is isolated to a small group of people, right?
Well, outside of that, let's just stick to the data. If the superintendent in the September 4th, 2018 school board meeting says that he has not been monitoring data because he's been focusing on high school graduation rates, but then you claim to be focus on early childhood education, why in the hell would I support your all-day pre-K if you're alleging that you support early childhood education, but then you just told me you ain't monitoring data? And then last night in the school board meeting, they say what? Data drives curriculum. I think Darlene Bro said that. Data drives curriculum. So if you're not watching data, that means your curriculum sucks. Their words, not mine.
Yeah.
But using that formula, she's right. But what it forces you to do is go back and look now if you connect all those. Remember we talked about they don't like people to be able to connect the pieces. So if data drives the curriculum and Superintendent Chambers, their one employee, says that he hadn't been monitoring data, then what does that say? The curriculum sucks.
Yep.
A plus B equals C, then C minus B must equal A. Right? We talked about that.
Absolutely.
So my problem with this school board is that they inadvertently know the right things to say, but then they act like they can't make the connection, or when they make the connection, they don't hold their one employee accountable. Let me say that again. Last night, go watch the video for yourself. School board trustee Darlene Bro, who also works for Harris County Department of Education, who is a administrator there responsible for data, said data drives education curriculum. Superintendent Chambers said September 4th, 2018 school board meeting, which is this school year, that he has not been monitoring data as it relates to the academic performance of elementary schools because he's been focusing on high school graduation rates. So if data drives education, your superintendent, who is the responsible for day-to-day operations, is not monitoring data, that means your academic performance sucks. That's why we got 6 schools in IR, 2 approaching, and they're probably not going to be out of IR this year because you hadn't been monitoring data.
So now my question is, if that's where his focus has been, and we know that...
Can I let you know the secret too, with that focus? The high school graduation rates is a facade as well because they have a graduation committee. So let's be clear about it. Our kids aren't graduating, they're being, for lack of better words, just like kids are being placed and not promoted, right? Place means that instead of passing 3rd grade and going to 4th grade, you didn't do so well in 3rd grade, but we see something in you, so we're going to push you to 4th grade. That's place.
Yes.
Pass means you pass. You got A's and B's or C's or whatever. You go on. The graduation committee is similar to that. It's parallel. Graduating means that you fulfilled your duties. You passed 70 or higher. You go on. You earned it. Graduation committee means we're going to slide you through.
Yeah.
So majority of our high percentage, I can't remember the numbers, high percentage, more like 80%, whatever. Remember, only 23% of our kids are reading at a 3rd grade level. The graduation committee is promoting our kids to graduation. So you've been focusing on graduation rates, but you haven't been focusing on kids graduating. You've been focusing on promoting them to graduation. The committee. So let's be clear about that because he has what? The ability to make data say whatever he wants.
And that's kind of true because I was researching something and it said that the amount of credits, some states have a strict amount of credits you need to graduate. The state of Missouri says 24. And but I know here in Texas it's 22 to 26 credits. So anywhere within there you could be allowed to graduate.
Right.
And so,
or a recommendation for the committee.
And that's why our college graduation rate,
that's why we struggle. That's why when our kids go into college, they have to take remedial courses or they're not prepared for college because they didn't graduate high school. They got promoted. Pushed out the door. So when they go to college, they're not ready for college and they have to take remedial courses or they just say, you know what, this shit's too hard for me. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not equipped to be academically, I haven't been trained at all. I've just been placed every year, and then finally promoted out, placed out of the district as a graduate through the graduation committee. So I'm not equipped.
So along with that, and we're getting close to our so one thing I want to talk about was they brought up what did she do? Director of Human Resources about the
superintendent.
No,
you talking about Elizabeth Pop?
Right up on her. I forgot her name. But she was speaking on her presentation about staffing review.
You talking about the area superintendent?
Yeah.
Page?
I think
is it Sue Page?
Dr. Susan Page.
Sue Page, yeah.
Yeah. So
African American lady?
No.
It was somebody else?
Just,
I know you're talking about. Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. She's an area superintendent too. I forget her name off the top.
But she was talking about the needs as far as staffing and like paraprofessional or educator, spec ed, counselor, not counselor, but psychologist and things like that and all this. When you look at that report, did it make you feel like either they're trying to like just throw a Band-Aid on
CFO, you talking about Deanna Wentz or was it
Deanna Wentz?
That did the last report?
Yeah, the longest one.
Yeah, that was Deanna Wentz. That's it. She.
Phone barking.
Yeah, we good.
So, but in her report, it talked about all the staffing possible needs for going
the
into
6 hour school.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you're looking at teacher requests, like those numbers were high,
right?
Extremely high, and then spec ed numbers were really high for like professionals and aides and things in that nature. Like, so, looking at that, what picture did that draw you?
The picture that drew to me was that many of the campuses have a high turnover rate for teachers. That's first and foremost. So high turnover rate, and then the professional development that they're installing upon them because of the risk load analysis stated that the number one contributor to our children not being successful is our teachers not being in the classroom. And they went on to further say that they're not talking about absences. They're talking about, they are included in that as absences, but they were specifically talking about the time that they're not in the classroom doing so much professional development. So I want to touch base on the fact that the turnover rate for teachers are so high. Let me be clear about this. Teachers do not quit the profession or leave a school or a district because of the students. Let me say that again. Teachers do not quit the profession, leave a school, or leave a district because of the students. Teachers quit because of leadership or lack thereof and administration.
So that could be APs.
That could be the APs, the principals, the district, all of the above. So when you have a high turnover rate of teachers, when you have a turnover rate period of teachers, it is because of the leadership that is over those teachers, that school, or that school district. So with one school, it's like, I forget which school it was, said she had a 50% turnover rate for the last 3 years. And then I think it might have been Landis. And then she turned around and said she kind of wanted to pat herself on the back, saying this year, her 4th year, their turnover rate is only 25%. That means you suck as a leader. It's not the kids, it's not the school being in IR, it's the leadership. It's the lack of help that the district is providing those teachers. It's the hopelessness that the teachers feel that they're just like, damn, I can't get no help, I keep getting pressed down, I'm not getting no recognition, I can't do it no more.
And that's kind of interesting because I told you last time I think we talked about this, and I had an educator tell me that they were leaving.
Before we go, the teacher that said, the principal, I think it was Principal Dr. Kelly Upshaw, I forget what school she said she was at. She said that she had very few turnover, maybe like no teachers or 3 teachers were asking to get promoted. But she talked about how engaged she was with her staff and what they did for the staff and promoting them and keeping them motivated. She was the only one that talked about that, motivating staff, and her numbers supported that. The fact that she didn't have no teachers leaving, right? She was the only one that came to speak to the fact that she was providing her teachers support mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever she got going on over there is working. And that's why her turnover rate was minimal and all the other schools' turnover rate was so high. 50% for the last 3 years, and even 25% is high. You've been sucking so bad that 25% look great to you. So every year, you start off with brand new staff. Every year. So every year, brand new people saying, you as an administrator suck. Yeah. That ain't the same people saying, man, you got on my nerves last year. You still suck this year. That's new people saying, hey, I'm brand new. You know what? You suck. I'm going to figure it out. Next year, you suck. I'm going to figure it out. You the problem.
And that leads back to the conversation I think we had in the first video.
Because the teachers get new teachers, new students every year. It ain't like they're saying, okay, this child is horrible. They'll never be in their class again.
Yeah. And like I said, that leads back to our first conversation when I said that the fact that the district allows the administrators at each school to run their schools the way they see fit.
That's right. With no oversight. And not watching data.
That's the issue. Because if you don't have consistency, if the policy and the procedures are not consistent, the way that we conduct business, it's a business.
That's right.
If we are not conducting business at all our franchises, schools are franchises.
That's right.
Of the district, right? If we're not conducting a business identically across the board, not doing the same thing, not keeping out, staying on target with our progress.
Basic guide, right?
So if we're
policies and procedures, implementation,
then we're destined to fail.
Right.
And at this point, just like schools in Alief ISD and maybe others, we're failing horribly because we're not educating students. What's the most important top core subjects? Reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
And I would argue now that reading and writing is should be at the top because at the end of the day, the math is just a passage. There's no 3 + 2 = 5. Yeah. You know, it's Billy has 5 apples. He walks to the store. 2 apples fall out of his pocket. He gives one to Anton. How many apples does he have left? That's 5 - 1 - 1 - 1, which is 2.
Exactly.
If you can't read, if you can't write, it don't matter. Then you can't understand what the math curriculum is saying.
And that's the problem. And so it's a big deal. And you guys really need to pay attention to this sort of stuff. Whether you're in our district, whether you're in Lamar, Conroe, Springs, Cy-Fair, Katy, Fort Bend ISD,
Pearland,
HISD,
Kingwood,
wherever you are, Woodlands, it does not matter. You can't sit there and say, oh no, we got a great district just because your child at their one school is being successful. One is based upon child.
Right.
Because some children will still be successful within a crappy district or a crappy school or a crappy classroom. So you have to realize that you can't isolate a problem to one's individual experience.
Right. Or your children aren't in competition with just your district or your side of town. Or more importantly, your children aren't just affected by the people in your community. For a prime example, I hate to be this negative about it, but if my community's children aren't being educated, right?
Yeah.
They're not just gonna rob people in Alief. They're gonna ride out to Kingwood. They're gonna ride out to Pearland. They're gonna ride out to Katy and rob you and steal and break in the house. Now I don't want to talk negative about our community, but my point is this: is when communities are doing bad, when individuals are doing bad, they don't just stay in their communities. So it's not just the Alief thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the HISD thing. It's a state of Texas thing. We gotta start holding the whole state of Texas accountable.
Yep.
Right?
Oh yeah.
We gotta start being just as good neighbors as we are community watchers of our own communities. And that's why I specifically stated that I don't talk about my political affiliations. That's why I don't talk about my ethnicities, because at the end of the day, I'm a people's person. I care just as much about Kingwood as I do Alief ISD. Because at the end of the day, it's a trickle-down effect.
Oh, absolutely.
If your kids in Kingwood ain't getting the education that they're supposed to get, guess what they're going to do? They're going to move, or they're going to stay there and they're going to do the list of activities in our communities.
Yep.
That I want the cycle to stop. I'm more concerned about the cycle stopping than I am concerned about repping my block.
And it's interesting you brought that point up, because think about this. It's not just isolated to Texas. You got people moving from, and this is not
very
bad
few
talk
people,
in these states.
Very few people that live in Houston
from Louisiana, you got people from Georgia, you got people from Florida,
Alabama,
Chicago,
California,
North
Dakota,
that are moving here and bringing behaviors and circumstances that don't necessarily mean positive in your community.
Right.
And so you should care as a whole, the larger, as a whole.
Absolutely.
Because it should matter to you that children in Flint may be missing school due to sickness because they're drinking water that's contaminated. Mm-hmm. It should matter to you that some kids in Africa are not, may not be receiving, good quality education, clothing, and nourishment, because at some point they may be here.
They may be right here. You be calling them refugees and all kind of other stuff.
And so the biggest thing that we want you guys to do when you watch these videos is come to an understanding based upon the information we share, and then not only just take that information and make
also too, can we say that? Why don't y'all message us with any questions that you may have, or conversations or statements that you may have, or something that you want us to look into that you may be fearful of retaliation for yourself, or you may not be comfortable coming out and admitting that you know it, or exposing your identity yet. So I'm very interested in hearing back from you all. So message us or leave comments in the videos. Let us know what you think. Let us know maybe some topics that you might want us to discuss, or some areas. I want this to be a community engagement, and not necessarily just the Anton and Damon show. As it stands now, the only reason that we're doing it is because our community doesn't have a voice. So this is the initial step of us trying to get community involvement outside of the thumbprint or the whole stronghold of Alief ISD administrators or any other school district administrators. This is our goal.
Or any government for that.
Right, this is the community forum. So reach out to us, email us, call us, message us, leave comments in there, leave your contact information, and give us an opportunity to engage with you and touch upon some things that you want to discuss or have some issues with, or even some comments that you may not agree with that we talked about. So I just want to say, have an open forum for them to reach out to us.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. Definitely, you can message us. If you are afraid of retaliation or whatever, definitely instant messages, or you can email me at Anton, ANTON, 4 change, CHANGE @gmail.com. Definitely, you can come and instant message me, or my phone number for that matter, which is out there public record anyway. 480-251-7042. That number again is 480-251-7042. I'm more than willing to talk to anyone or text between you. Between the two of us, Damon, I know in our first video, many may have been quite shocked when you provided not only your phone number, your email, and your home address,
right,
for that matter. And then this is ultimately
just I got this big, but I did.
Because I'm like, wait, hold on. But at the same time, that helps you to understand that Mr. Barone is truly confident in what he's saying, based upon the fact he's willing to back it up by allowing you to communicate with him, visit with him about those conversations, and allow you guys open commentary about what he said, what we say on these videos. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that this is, once again, not a direct bash on our educators in our school district, because a company is only as good as its leadership. And everything at the top, it has a trickle down effect, right? All the negativity from up top trickles down.
I think y'all should get paid more.
Yeah, and it negatively impacts, the district as a whole, our children, our community. Like Damon said, that these kids are not isolated once they become adults to just Alief. They can move to KD, they can move to Pearland, Chicago, Rosenberg, where else?
California, New York, coming to a community near you.
Anywhere. And so, if we want to institute
greatness,
greatness and success and change, we have to take these steps to put in our opinions and our voices and let people understand that it's not about that foolishness.
Right.
See, foolishness is the foundation that cracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we take strength, which is the community banding together, having these types of forums, and then being present at school board meetings, at PTA meetings, or
clicking around on that Alief website.
Exactly. Clicking around, doing the surveys and voicing truly what you feel versus sitting there fearing. Stop having fear. Fear is the foundation of failure.
What they do, the district does a good job of instilling fear. So we just gotta, when we start rising up and standing together, then we'll back that fear down. Because as it stands now, they're utilizing their personal and professional privilege to oppress our community, our teachers, our students, and parents. So we gotta raise up, stand up together, unified, and say it's over with. We're taking our community back. So with that being said, Damon Barone, I'm gonna leave you my phone number and information again. It's all public information, so I'm not hiding from anyone. My email address is damon_barone@hotmail.com. That's DAMON_BARONE@hotmail.com. My home telephone number is 281-752-6823. My home address is 3423 Cascadia Drive, CASCADIA, Houston, Texas 77082. I'm not hard to find, I'm not running from anyone, and I stand behind everything that I say, feel, and am doing. So if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, you have my contact information, and I'll wait to hear from you.
So we'd like to thank you guys for everyone that watched, those that will watch, and we definitely encourage you to reach out to us. Any concerns you have with anything we said, any additional information you have to add to any of those discussions that are pertinent to the installation of change, definitely reach out to us. So once again, guys, it's been Damon Barone and Anton Dowds, and it's been an unscripted
and uncensored
conversation.
That's right.
Thank you, guys.